I've coached by several coaches, but you've got something unique, man. I don't think South Africa celebrate the way you are supposed to be celebrated.
Our national team is not using us. I'm saying, in whichever capacity, whether it be under 17, under 20, under 23, national team, we have that knowledge. We can add value.
Aish.
In football, it's about how players can complement each other. Kekana, for me, and the centre back, Unumbala, Mudao, and Mudiwa. Mukwena, Masangwani, Zwane. As a defender, you have your work cut out.
Yeah.
Because they can penetrate that block at any time. The team is most successful is a team with the balance in the midfield.
The way of coaching is more or less of Brazil.
I love Brazilian football because it was very similar to what I think or perceive South African football to be. Julio Leal once said live that there is nobody else that can teach our footballers in this country the Brazilian way the way myself can. I would love to help Chiefs because it's in my system. Coaching for life. Once it bites, you know.
Yeah, welcome bafethu Junior KHANYE KHOHLWA. Mfana sevuthe Dave Jonani always the best place to be. Benabao. Today I've got a very I don't know big surprise and I don't know, I'm very humble, touched. Also, because I was not supposed to sit here if it was not him. The main person who, for me, is like a second father, after my first biological father. Mr. Farouk Khan. It's a master for me, master. I will never ever, I will praise him forever until I go 6 feet underground. Don't forget, hashtag World Sports Betting, hashtag bet with the best. So humble, man. Junior KHANYE KHOHLWA, welcome to Panapao. Moses Mapita, Old Trafford. Coach, how are you, Coach?
Junior, very well. Really honored to be on your show. You know, we go a long way. We have a history, I suppose. We'll talk about it today.
It's like, I need to be honest, there's a lot of emotions coming from me. Many people won't understand. You see, you are the one who saw the potential in me. I need to tell people this. I remember first time, it didn't take long, Coach, in me. Many people, they think when I'm talking, I'm making a favor. When you are not there, when I talk alone, you didn't take long. It's very easy for you to see a talent because I came there without the idea. I'm talking about, yes, I was a dribbling wizard, but without knowing where and when. And you gave me the platform at Kaizer Chiefs. It was RAW by then. I think it was 2000, RAW program of Kaizer Chiefs, program of excellence. So, Coach, welcome to Junior KHANYE KHOHLWA. This is my podcast, and I'm so humbled to have you. There's a lot of things that I want us to talk about. Also, a couple of questions that I want to ask. I know it's going to be tricky, but people will want to know who's Mr. Farouk Khan, definitely inside. And there's a lot of information I think that people can learn from you. And first, this question I know it's outside, and but I would love to ask Coach, in me personally, Coach, why, I'm sorry to say this, but I have to ask in the national, why a person like you, specific, I'm talking about South African football, I'm not talking about Pirates or Chiefs, Sundowns, I'm talking about SAFA, I'm sorry, I have to be honest. Why they don't employ a person like you as a technical director for me?
Junior, that's a question that has been asked several times. I think I was shortlisted once upon a time. There was 5 of us that were shortlisted. Conti Kubeka, Sarami, myself, and some other guys. We went to Pretoria at the sports science. We spent a week, and then a decision was made, and Sarami was given the job. Obviously, I wished him well. I respect him as a technician. But sometimes these things happen. You know, sometimes we plan, but there is one who's planning better than us, which is the Almighty. So he's the planner of planners.
That's true.
So he has a reason. Sometimes a thing where you become disappointed is actually protecting you from something bigger. The good thing is I've never had my name tainted. I've always been in the media for the right reasons. People have always seen the work I do. So maybe, sometimes you can look back and say, he had a bigger role for me to play, and that would be to develop continuously, from the time you guys and moving on to currently, there's been many players that I've assisted in realizing their dreams.
True. Yeah, Coach, I want to ask this personally. Who's Mr. Farouk Khan, and where you were born, actually?
Look, I was born in 1960 in a place called Vredendorp during the apartheid era. We were then forcefully removed. We were living very much close, ourselves, coloureds, Indians, black people all together. And the government of the day saw it as a problem. Because if you have all these people living together, they can start plotting against you. So they came up with a law called the Separate Development Act. So they took people, African people to Soweto, Indian people to Lenasia, colored people to El Dorado. So that's how they separated you. They divided us because they realized that was a problem. So in the early years, we played street football. Or we'd find some place where there was an open field or open piece of ground and mark it. During the holidays, there was no social media. Football was our life. Every day from morning to night, and I'm sure you experienced it growing up as well. So you'd play with your friends, you'd buy a 2-liter, you'd put 2 pals there, 1 pal, and you play your tournament from morning to night, you don't get tired. And that's where I fell in love with the game of football. Went on to play amateur football, then had an opportunity to play in the federation. But as it is, not everyone had that opportunity like we have now. Because during those days, there wasn't money in the game. There was no television coverage. You would only play in your community. Some of the players I played with that did extremely well were players like Johannes Mojetsi, from very good centre-back. Daniel Motsepe, who played later on for Giant Blackpool with Shoes Michel. So those are some of the great players that I played with that made. But not many of the players I played with was able to make the jump because conditions was not conducive. So I think my passion came later on when I sustained a cruciate injury to start coaching youth.
Yeah, for me, I have to ask this question because people, they don't know, man. I'm here to celebrate you, me. I know South Africa, I don't care who says what, actually. I'm very, very straightforward person. You're one of the best. I'm saying, I've coached by several coaches, and the list goes on. Ted Dimitro, Master Ted the late, I know you work with him. I've coached by Steve Kompela, Cody Nigasin, Owen Takama, several coaches. But you've got something unique, man. I don't think South Africa celebrate the way you are supposed to be celebrated. You produce, I know me personally, and even the current team that I used to support. I'm talking about Kaizer Chiefs, the team that gave me a chance. When I'm saying I'm an analyst at Diski TV, when I'm talking there, especially about my team, I become too critical sometimes because, coach, it's emotion. There's a lot of emotions that come to me. I know when you were there was no favor. There was no one that could come there and be recommended by someone, and you gave him a platform because you know him. You had another eye. That's South Africa. I'm not talking about Kaizer Chiefs, but I'm just going to make an example because players that we had there. Yes, some of us we made to the PSL Kaizer Chiefs, but I believe the whole team could play anywhere around the world. I'm talking the players that you had. The late Cyril Zuma, Ntogozos Kakane,
Daniel Corneli, remember
he went overseas, I think, left-footed.
Yes,
one of the best strikers like Luis Nazaro Dilima, Gerard Skobel, Lakim Zizi, Asante Chamile. I coach it's touching, put this toilet. Itumele Nkune.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imali Stabiso Skapi Maladze. That team, coach, I remember we beat people, they don't know the stampede that we had when people died at Ellis Park. We are the one who started there. They don't know development. We beat him 17-0, right?
Yes.
And then you gave us freedom to dribble people. We score goals. We pay. Me, I need to tell people this. I don't have a problem with dribbling players who dribble. But you taught us a lot of things. We came there, dribble everywhere. We could dribble everywhere, and then you saw us first time. I'm talking about myself. Let me speak on behalf of me. And then you came and emphasized. You taught a lot of things. First, you told me, look, you can make money on this. I want you to enjoy this. But you you need to know this is work, but you're not working yet. But I want to prepare your mind to you don't have to focus in it was Castle Premiership by then. Now it's Betway Premiership. You told me that I want to prepare yourself. I want to prepare you to be a player that can play around the world. And it's very touching in emotions, because that's why people, they don't know this. They just see Mr. Farouk Khan, they don't know. So I had to say it open. We had players that they could play anywhere around the world. Yeah, coach, I didn't know. Did you play the game? I'm talking about playing on your feet. Did you play as a player?
Yes. From a very young age. I started at 6 years old. I played right through until I was 23, 24. Then I sustained a cruciate injury. I played at a decent level, which is the Federation second. It would be like a second Vela league. And then I sustained this injury. And it put me out of football, because in those days the medical side wasn't so advanced when it comes to those type of operations. But as I said, the passion was there. The love was there. You know, when you play this game, you fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And many people play this game simply because they enjoy playing it and they find so much joy in it. And only later on, they see the benefits financially and otherwise. But I think most of us must always remember, when you're in this game, don't look at the benefits. Continue enjoying what you're doing. Because once you enjoy what you're doing, you do better. You mentioned Ted Dimitri. Was a blessing to me, because when I was working at Dynamos at the time, coaching the youth, I asked them to sponsor me to go study in Brazil, because I always liked the way the Brazilians played in 1970.
I know.
I mean, eventually, you know, people used to call me, the likes of Doggies and them, used to say, the man from Brazil, you know.
Yeah.
But I loved Brazilian football because it was very similar to what I think or perceive South African football to be. Skill, speed, enjoyment, excitement, you know, all of those things. And they said, no, we don't have money to send you to Brazil. I said, okay. They said, there's a gentleman in Orlando Stadium. His name is Ted Dimitri. He used to coach Chiefs, because he had just finished coaching Chiefs. He's doing coaching clinics there. And he's got a Chibuku development program. So when I went there, I met this short gentleman, and he welcomed me with open arms. I became very close to him. He is the one who sent me to Brazil. Because remember then, the opportunity came. And I think we were about 30 students. Trot Moloto, there was Teresi Pua, Sam Mbata, Kevin Johnson. The list is endless of coaches used to attend. Every Monday, we used to attend Orlando Stadium. And you know, when you drive into the township, you're going through Deep Kloof, the cops, they stop you. Hey, Baba, what you are doing here? Searching your car. We were harassed, because during those days, the cops were very much worried about what you're doing after hours in certain areas, you know. But we persevered, because we loved the game. And then there was the coach from Wits, because this was a program, Chibuku was in line with Wits. We would write the exams via Wits. And John Layton was coaching Wits at the time. And they were deciding to send John Layton and the late, it was John Layton, it was Mike Ntombela and James Mabena, the three of us, bursaries. And who joined us was Junaid Mall. So they didn't include me. They wanted John to go. And Ted went into that meeting. For maybe half a day he fought. He said, no, my best student must go. Farouk must go. And I was so blessed that this man opened up that door for me. You know, so I have a lot to thank him for. He changed my mindset also of football. He taught us things. He was ahead of his time. We were coached by him. This man was a genius, you know. So I think we are a product. Like you guys were a product of myself and my development. I was a product of people like Ted Dimitri. Mushin Etugral also played a huge role. He came with a European element that was so professional. And those are the people that I can say assisted me in realizing my true potential as a coach.
Yeah. No, as far as I hear you, coach, and there's a lot of information you've got, and people like you, man. As I'm saying, I'm you know, that's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna be specific to one of the certain. Like I'm not gonna be specific. Point teams that must take you. I'm talking about the national. They were supposed to use you, but I think there's a blessing in disguise in God. As you say, the man above, they knows everything, and there's a reason behind. Coach, going back to the grassroots, do you have the player that you knew? I'm talking when you were playing career, that you saw that this player was not good. I'm talking about you when you were playing days where you were born, like as you say, street soccer, this game that's social, a league that we're playing. The player that surprised you, that you didn't know or didn't see him going far? I'm talking about the player that surprised you, maybe end up playing professional football that you started with.
Well, there was a very close friend of mine. He's late now. He passed away with his entire family in a car accident. He was phenomenal. His name was Shoes. Shamsuddin was his name. What a player, left-footed player. Unbelievable talent. Ooh. Whenever we used to go play, pre-season we used to go play in the mines. And the mines used to be full. The mines stadium used to get packed. We used to go play pre-season games in preparing the league. The fans used to turn 360 and they used to support Shoes. He was so good on the ball. Very similar to you guys. Very good dribbler, powerful left footer, great vision, great awareness, spatial awareness. He was complete. And then when he was about 14, 15, the scout saw him. In those days, if a scout saw him and took him to Europe, it was a huge opportunity. But his parents didn't want him to go. He then ended up playing and he was frustrated. He started abusing substances, etc., etc. And then he took a turn later on in his life. He became a man of God. He started becoming holy. And then when he went to a funeral, he passed on the way, on the road, in Klerksdorp. So that for me was a player that never reached his true potential. Similarly to some other talents that we've seen along the years that were phenomenal in their ability, but somehow things didn't work out.
Yeah, no, touching, and I can testify with that. Since I live in my career of playing, it didn't last longer. But many players, even in Brazil, around the world, I think there is a spiritual problem, according to me. I think it's God's ways.
Yes.
And that's my understanding. True. And it's God's ways. And we have a player at coach that you didn't think that is so good. I'm talking about your playing days. But that player surprised you along the way, ending up playing professional football.
Oh, yes. There was a player once played with, and he was extremely hardworking, Junaid Mal. I played against him, we played together. And he was nothing of a you could say, a player that stands out, you can suddenly see when he touches the ball.
Yes.
But he was very hardworking. While we were being very naughty, staying away, weekends coming late, and being picked for the team because we were good players at the time, we were not disciplined. If the game was at 3 o'clock, we'll probably come there at 2 o'clock. And the coach also spoiled us. Instead of dropping us, he used to play us, myself and Shoes. And instead of us taking that as, hey, you know what, you need to start changing now. We didn't change. So it affected us. To be fair, I think we were all our own worst enemies because we preferred having good times. And that is why nowadays, or even during your time, I was so scared to see you guys fail. Based on my life as a player when I grew up, I didn't want the same mistakes to be made. So I'd always preach to you guys.
Yes.
You need to keep a straight life. You need to behave yourself. You don't need to let friends influence you. There's lots of distractions out there. Be careful who you associate with.
True.
When you go to the first team, you are a threat. Even though they are smiling.
Yes, you told us that.
And they would say, don't come stand near me, you are smiling. They would try to intimidate you sometimes. Because they would see, hey, these guys are coming to take our place. So I had to teach you those skills because not often do you find a coach who's able to give you that insight, who has been in the top and is coaching youth. So I have this combination that helps me to guide players. And that's the biggest thing, Junior, in South African football. You see, suddenly a player does well and we put him on a pedestal. And suddenly that player just disappears. It's so dangerous because instead of keeping him grounded, instead of teaching him that, listen, it's not about what you wear, it's not about what you drive. It's about, give you an example when Rantier made it professionally, when he was scouted by Pirates. We played a friendly against them. And there's a player, I think you remember, Mushe, very short player.
Oh, I remember.
A genius, but he was very short.
Oh, you're talented, yeah.
And he was never selected to play professionally. I think he was one of the most talented players I've come across. And during that game, Mushe killed Orlando Pirates with their best squad at the time. They were coached by Julio Leal.
I remember the Brazilian.
Yes, and Roy Mamutsa couldn't find his feet with the speed of this boy, Tukelo. He scored a brace. And then they came after the game. The late Screamer, he said to me, Coach, what do you think? This boy can play? I said, close your eyes, Screamer. This boy is special. He's speedy. Although, when he came to me, you know the problem of scoring, Junior. Wherever these boys grow up, there's no goalpost. They're playing over one pile, they're playing over jerseys, so they never perfect that skill. So I had to work extremely hard. I used to do funny things, tie a rope at the bottom, shoot underneath, trying to change. And I think if Tokelo came younger, I think he would have even been better. But he still holds that record of being the first player to score a brace against Nigeria in Nigeria. So those are the accolades that I think you can't take away. But in saying that, this boy went on to be phenomenal in his own way. Yet he had come from absolutely poor background, you know. So those are the type of things that I think we as South Africans, you mentioned some important point earlier, giving the players the opportunity to express themselves. This is our strength. Why do we always work against our strength? Why do we try to create our players to become robots, play two-touch? I mean, I hear a lot of people talk about this two-touch. I would rather say three-touch. Because remember, when you control the first touch, you still have to position yourself to make the third. Now I'm forcing Junior to make the second touch. So he rushes. He passes the ball to an opponent. Or he makes the wrong decision. Give him another touch. And you see mostly top players in the world, they don't play two-touch. They play three-touch. Four. Two sometimes, one sometimes, but most of the time.
They hold the ball.
The ball.
Coach, you're speaking something very serious, and that's development. And I want us to talk about this. I think we need to touch this. But before I touch this, Coach, I want to ask personal, which position were playing you when we were playing the game?
Look at my height, I was to play as a centre-back.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and my philosophy was the ball goes, you don't go. You go, the ball don't go. So I was a hard tackler.
Yes.
Technically, I wasn't so good because in those days we were as defenders were expected to get the ball and to pass the ball forward. Today, the modern defender has to play out of the back. He can't just pass the ball. He has to challenge the space. He has to draw the opposition. You know, so the roles have changed. I mean, even a goalkeeper today, Junior, if you aren't good with your feet, you can't play top-level football.
True. In modern football.
So it's changed now. Your best centre-backs are good midfielders. Your best goalkeepers are good centre-backs because you are playing out.
Like sometimes how they do.
Yes.
Spanish and,
And people sometimes say, why is it these guys keeping the ball in their half? Because they want you to come so that you leave space. The more you press, less numbers to defend against you.
Yeah. A specific coach, I want to ask this. I want us to touch on this, but I know this question. You spoke about development, Coach, and me, I know you prepared us. Kaizer Chiefs I'm talking about the development. You gave us assignment individual that we need to write on paper. I'm talking about players. We used to have a program where we play Kaizer Chiefs, first team. I'm talking, it was coached by Mushin, and you were coaching us. Yes. And Mushin had a very good team, the likes of Nhlanhla Kupega Chabu. The list goes on. It was Atazwane, Tinashe, Chabomoki, Serenzama, Mabedi.
Yeah.
There was a program, Coach, that we were playing Kaizer Chiefs. I remember you created that program for us as development. The program that we used to play against the senior side every Wednesday.
Yes, I remember.
Maybe you remember that program.
Yes.
We used to play against first team every Wednesday. And then we had to, after the game, you gave us assignment that give me the performance. Be honest to yourself. And just give me those assignment and write it and send those letters back to me. I'm talking about those letters that we wrote. And Coach, that thing helps us, the nervousness. We're playing in Turena, I remember. We used to go there and we went a beautiful place in Milo Park whereby we involved with Rao, with Mr. Mshong and Chris Fortin.
Yeah.
And Coach, I'm talking about the proper assessment. I saw how you assess players by then. And you didn't recommend us to the first team player. You just put us on the field. And Mushin could come to you.
Yes.
And say, I want this and this. And Coach, the question is now, in recent, do you think how we recommend our players or how we scout players in South African modern, are we doing exactly what it's supposed to be done?
No, I think there's a big problem in scouting. I think we look at coaching in a vacuum. We look at it coaching as what you do on the field, and that's where it stops. We don't realize what you do outside the field affects what you do inside. So if your scouting is not properly structured, starting from schools football, Junior. I mean, you played schools football.
Yes, true.
I can guarantee you now, kids don't play much schools football. They have life skills.
Yes.
They sit and maybe they visit the tuck shop and they go and they smoke a cigarette, etc. There's no sports. That's my biggest challenge, that if we don't have kids playing, how do we scout them? Then it goes further. Once you look at our national youth teams, I mean, they're not representative of the best talent. I mean, if you look at it, Junior, we normally choose players from your professionals team, not realizing there are players elsewhere. Your academy could have some very good players. In Venda, there's kids that are playing there very good. So we're not spreading our net to find the best talent. That is why often you find, I can talk from example, even with you guys, there wasn't that immediate national team call-up. I think you were called up for under 20.
Yes,
You
under
didn't
20,
play
I remember,
17,
yes.
yeah. So they missed you out at under 17. You look at Tokelo also, May also, they were missed out. The only time May got picked for under 20 is when he played in Europe, when he was with Helsingborg. So it means players have to go outside to get recognition. We don't have a proper, SAFA needs to have a proper scouting network. So they have a huge amount of talent and they choose the cream. And then that cream must come up to the top. So you find sometimes Mvala, maybe Mvala never played under 17. He never played under 20.
Yes, true.
Maybe he ends up under 23. And I mean, the list goes on. Some of the other players like Mukwenda and Molaki, they were super sport, and the eyes are on those players mostly, they get selected.
True.
But we're missing out on very, very good talent. Compared to where I studied in Brazil, they monitor a player from 12 years old. One day, I'll give you a quick one. When I studied there, they went to show us the youth, and I saw under 12s playing. And when I looked at those 12s, I said to the professor, me, if I go to South Africa now, I can pick a team from the Kasi and I can beat you. He looked at me, smiled. He says, yeah, I'm sure you can. But what do you do with your players from 12 to 18? I couldn't answer. He says, what we do here, we do everything scientific. From the age we identify the player, we already start building on him. We don't just leave him somewhere. We build on him. They have 3 under 17 national teams touring. 3, not 1. And they tour constantly. So what they're doing simply is they're using football as a form of export. So they are investing in the youth, but they know when Enrique makes it, he goes to Real Madrid at 17. When Neymar makes it, he goes. All of these, what do they do when they go? They earn big money. Where do they spend the money? Back in Brazil. Because that's where they come. So the country is now developing so many quality players that bring money into the country. We have the same potential. The raw talent we have, and I'm saying this without any reservation, is the best, even better than Brazil. People will maybe think I'm talking nonsense. I'm telling you, I compared. We are special. You look at Mofokeng now, when he came on for Bafana. That's special. You can't change that.
Yes, true.
That's something. He created magic there.
And you gave us some freedom.
Yes. You understand?
Shocking.
So, I just think our scouting is lopsided. I just think from government, from football, we need to start addressing proper grassroots. Grassroots is completely neglected. You know, people always say, hey, rugby, the cricket. I tell you now, go to schools, Junior. Cricket and rugby is highly, highly invested in. Coaching, development. It's no accident that we won the World Cup 4 times. In rugby, it's no accident. Because if you see the work that goes in, you see the Craven Week, it's not just sponsoring a tournament or picking some boys and saying, go and qualify.
Yes.
You understand? It's scientific. And they look for the best people, especially when it comes to youth. If you watch any top tournament in the world, you'll see that Madala sitting there with under 20. That man's got 20 years, 30 years coaching. They make sure the best coaches are coaching you. And they make sure the legends of the game, the top professional players are coaching the senior team. Because that's where you need those guys like yourselves to coach, because your experience of playing high-level football. There's no coaching at a national team level. What coaching? You get the players for a week. What do you coach? It's about organizing. It's about sharing experiences. Mm-hmm. And this is where we get it wrong. We focus on the top and we neglect the bottom, the foundation.
Hey, that's so profound, deep. Coach, when did you start? I want to know the year, your coaching career.
I started in 1985. And how I started was, I was living in an area called Mayfair, and I used to walk. I had a dog, so I used to walk him. And I saw these kids playing without any supervision. And I saw a guy coming, parking his car. Then he drives off. So I went to these youngsters. I said, hey, what's happening? What? No, we are playing. Who's your coach? He said, that is our coach. I said, but your coach, he didn't even stick around. He's just going. They said, no, he's got a business. He can't come. So I spoke to the coach. I said, I know you're a businessman. Allow me to coach these youngsters. So he knew me from the time, that I played. So I joined this Mayfair Spurs. And that was the first time where I was exposed to coaching. I then used to, a friend of mine, Daniel Motsepi, had a lot of players in Deep Kloof. He used to scout for me. One of them was Tsepo Mashishi.
At Puma, I think he's working at Puma.
Yeah.
You coach him.
Yeah,
you
he
play
was-
against.
yes.
Played with him actually.
Exactly. So
Teammate.
I found him at 10 or 11. At that time, he was doing an ad on TV. You know, it was some product he was, and this boy was very, very good. But he was a striker. Can you imagine? You know, I changed players, eh? And then I brought him.
I learned from that.
I fetched him, dropped him, and we did extremely well. And then when I joined Dynamos as the youth coach, you know, after I sustained the injury, I was then recommended to study, etc., etc. And then Transnet came.
School of Excellence.
No, before the school. They came with this Neil Tovey development centers. So Neil Tovey and Phil Masinga were going to go from one area to the next. Alex, Tembisa, all these areas for 2 days. And then Ted said, no, guys. This thing don't work. You can't go 2 days and give a ball and teach somebody how to play. You have to stay there. You must stay in the area. I don't think it was something they liked, because now this thing was nice to go out and do it. They said no. So we convinced Transnet to start a program, and Alex was the first area. Zeta Mafokeng. I mean, all those players that from Alex that we found there, they were babies, 11, 12. And we worked for a year. I brought in Kevin. I brought in...
Kevin Johnson.
Yeah. I brought in Sam Bata, all these coaches. And we used to coach.
Sundowns, youth
Yeah,
structure.
we used to coach in Alex. And then a year later, Ted convinced me, said, speak to Neil about a school of excellence. I said, hey, coach, what? He says, no, you know, we bring the boys, they stay there, they school there. I said, okay. I went. I spoke to Neil, he was convinced. He went to the management, and they started Esland Park. And that's where we had 60 players at Esland Park, including the likes of Steven Pinaar, the likes of
Sean
Potgieter, Dylan Shepard, all of them. They were the beginning there at school.
Talent.
And then one particular day, I started a high-performance center at Max Park, and we played against Kaizer Chiefs on that day. They had Jabu there, they had Klantler there, and we gave them 4-0. And they came to me after the game, the likes of Ryder, Jeff Butler. I said, hey, coach, how do you manage to get these boys to play like this? So I have to be humble. I said, no, you know what? They said, hey, we're going to arrange for the chairman to speak to you. So I went to meet the chairman at Naturina. It wasn't like this. At that time, Junior, it was just like a farmhouse. There was no buildings on it. And then I spoke to Kaizer, and then he showed me all these trophies that juniors were winning. And then I said, with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, you are not going to employ the right man if you want to win trophies. I'm one who likes to develop players. That's the first thing.
They don't understand people that, yo.
So he said to me, okay, Farouk, which office do you want? I said, no, I don't need an office. I'm working for Transnet. In the afternoon, I'll work for you. So I had 2 jobs. I used to run the School of Excellence, and I used to then come to where you guys trained at Milo Park. And then when the boys started coming through, you know, in football there's a lot of jealousy. My own colleagues there were saying, hey, Farouk is now wearing 2 hats, Transnet Chiefs. So I was called in and they said to me, listen, you must decide, come back full time. I said, no, I can't. I resigned from Transnet and I went full time. Worked in the morning and the afternoons with you guys. In the morning I used to work with Mushin. And like they say, the rest is history.
So, coach, that's so deep, and that's why I'm on the information of this. I think this is the best education that you'll ever find around the world. There's many media people that there's a lot of hype in South Africa, but this me, I testified, actually. And that's why I'm saying before this interview, it's touching. The way I know you, you don't do favors. Many people, they don't know. And I took that, I've learned. That's why I've never changed, Coach Me. I've learned that no favor, Junior. And you've never, even in under 20, remember when I was selected under 20 national team, you sent 5 players, but I remember I made some, there was between me and you, I think at house, and then you punished me. But when you played, you gave me the platform on the field. And I've showcased Steve Compella. I remember same day he came to you and said, I need, he called me Akawa. Yes, in the same next camp, this boy must come. I go there, I scored 3 goals in Botswana against Lesotho under 20. When the man of the match first game of mine. And it was humbling when I came back to you. I said, thank you, you taught me and to stay humble, to be disciplined. Because you taught us a lot of things, coach, not only in football. They don't know that. That's why I'm saying you are a father figure. In development, Kaizer Chiefs, you did a lot of stuff. not on the field only. On the field, yes, it was something else. And I can testify you, coach, if you can be honest, all the players that played for you, players, they've learned a lot of things. I spoke to Ntokozo Kakane last time when we met. He was very emotional when we spoke about you, that, I mean, in South Africa, they need you. Maybe I think we spend time with you, we're speaking on behalf of you. Anyway, we don't owe them anything. We need to tell the truth. And yeah, coach is touching. So, coach, I want to ask this. Who was inspiring you as a coach? You took the coaching career, but who was inspiring you as a coach? For you to go and coach, who was inspiring?
Well, I'll tell you, there was a gentleman that I followed from a young age, Zagallo. He was a former Brazilian coach. He was a player that won the World Cup as a player.
I remember.
He won it as a coach. And I didn't know the man, but the way he used to prepare his team, people like him, Telly Santana, as a youngster now, growing up, I used to even hire those, those days we had projectors. Then you hire those reels just to watch these guys. And I used to sit hours watching this Brazilian team. It was really fantastic to see how these guys played. The likes of Pelé, Jairzinho, Tostão, Revellino. And this is why I say, when I look back at our football, when I look back at you guys, me and the late Ace used to sit there and have the time of our life, because our work was done in the week. Weekends, we didn't have to shout anything. We just sat there, used to smoke Cravenet, and we watched the game, and it was like, hey, we're going to a game at the Bernabeu, Because the way you guys used to play, I'll never forget, at one stage I put you on and Scapi, one on the right, one on the left, and we played a select team from the WFA, and the stadium was full. And hey, I always tell people.
It was Kimberley or what?
No, that was in Mayfair West.
I remember you told them to pick the whole team.
And then first half they were leading 1-0, and everybody was looking, and I smiled. I said, hey guys, that means nothing. You hit them 6 today. You and Scapi, you killed the the fullbacks to suddenly, you were doing that thing with the skipper. And I was laughing. People say, I said, no, it's their form of expression. Today, maybe some people will find it to be, I don't think so. I think sometimes you got to allow players to express. You see, the same thing you guys used to do when we played Mushin. Remember, Mushin used to get cross, he used to kick that ice box broken.
I remember, yeah.
How can these chickens do? And all I taught you guys was how to play tactically against them. Don't just go all out. Wait for them. Look to play on the counter because they were good. We couldn't deny it. But when you had the ball, I was comfortable that you're going to penetrate, you're going to score. And Mushin, that is why Mushin asked me to come on board with him, because he saw what we were doing at the academy.
Yeah, no, coach, it's because your way of coaching is more or less of Brazil. That's how I saw. And I can testify that Mario Zakara, I know him with sunglasses, very knowledgeable. I think he won the World Cup 98, if not mistaken.
He won the World Cup, I think in 70 he was the coach, and then later on he was an assistant.
70, yes.
He was assistant, yes. You're right, in the 80s he also helped some of the other national coaches, isn't it? Because he was experienced. In Brazil, if you've got knowledge, they don't let it die with you. They make sure you use it, because
that's why they're so special. That's why they're so special. And this is so deep and educational, coach. Coach, if I need to, because when you speak football, you can see it's inside you. Why do you love the game so much, coach?
A gentleman once said to me, while I was still a player, he said, when this football bug bites, the bug, when it bites, you'll never turn around. Once it's in your blood, you eat, you sleep, you drink football. In my household, it's only football. From myself, right to the children, to everybody's football. And that is part of our lives. And I think just the joy of when you as a player would experience it, the joy of when you touch that ball, when you move with that ball, when you are involved in playing this beautiful game. That's why they call it a beautiful game.
Yes, yeah.
It is beautiful. And, every day when I have a flu or what, I will come to the field. People say, but you are sick.
I remember, you used to come. Yeah.
Come to the ground. I'll be sick on the bench, but I want to see my boys. Because I believe every minute wasted is an opportunity for you to have promoted that youngster even one step closer. So you can't waste time in this game. Especially now, Junior, you must understand, we sometimes only identify a talent at 16, 15. We've already missed out 2 stages, 3 stages. Now to catch up, it means I have to go back 5 years, 6 years to be able to go forward again. So for me, that is a challenge in South African football, to be able to compete with the best in the world. If you take, for example, a guy like, let's use example Themba Zwane currently, or Percy Tau. If they had been developed from 8 years, today they play in Europe. They play in Europe, they walk into those leagues.
Yes,
because all the foundation, they came later. And the only thing they did was, as youngsters, was played amongst them, friends, etc. Only when they were scouted, maybe, I don't know when, but it must have been in their early teens.
Yeah.
So if we can fix that gap, it will work. So to your question, it's hard to say how much you love this game, because it's here for you until they put you in the ground.
Yeah.
You will be there no matter what.
Yeah.
Even as a spectator, who knows?
Yeah. Coaching a player specific, for you to see that's the best player for you,
Yes.
or a player that you can have him, what do you look at from that player specific?
Firstly, when I see a player, the first thing I look at is first touch, how he controls the ball. It doesn't mean if he has a bad touch, I'm not going to. I may see some other things that can convince me. But obviously, if the first touch is good, I become excited. Then I start paying attention. I also look at his speed of decision making. When he gets the ball, does he know where is he going?
Yeah,
You understand?
Yeah.
Or does he make the right decision? Is he brave to challenge the space? I don't enjoy players just passing.
I
I want players who can challenge and bring defenders out of their structure. So yes, speed is very important. Not only speed of running 100, because you get a player who's not maybe quick with speed, but he's quick upstairs. His decision making, you know.
Yes.
Tefo Mashamaiti is a player. I once spoke to Kaizer. I said, "Hey, coach, this player was good, but he's slow." I said, "Okay, the first 10 yards, he knows already." That's why Mato plays this well, because this guy, Tefo, was his guy. There was a balance. He was the brains.
Yeah.
And then they played beautifully
Very
together.
important, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So speed of thought, speed of decision making, speed of action is a bonus. I always say, if you are quick, it's a big bonus for you as a player. Speed is important. Then I look at the personality. For me, a player's personality is important. If he's an introvert, if he's shy, you can't play a team sport being shy. You must express yourself.
I think that's a problem with even us. That's why we didn't last to the game, because we were open, and with big guns, you taught us the truth. I can testify that. I remember at the first team we came in changing room at that one in shoes. We spoke openly.
Yes.
That the first penalty I'm going to kick in.
You were
the penalty
confident.
I'm going to score.
Yes.
And I don't know you. And that
Yes.
yeah.
And people sometimes think it's arrogance. I don't think it's arrogance. It's confidence.
Yeah.
Because if a player is confident about himself, he's going to show that confidence on the field.
Yeah.
And that is what you want. Then I look at intelligence, playing intelligence. Is he clever? You know, does he know to come out of a tight space? Or is he just somebody who's using muscles, you know? and for me, in football, you need to be clever. You need to be intelligent, decision-making, in front of the goal, in midfield, defensively. I think we need to look at those aspects very closely, because there are players coming to football being intelligent, but then we coach that out of them by saying to them, touch, hit the channel.
Yeah.
You know? So there's no need to be creative and intelligent. Those are things that are easy to do. And then, last but not least, technique, but very important technique. But you see, technique, I can coach. Speed, I can't really. You got it or you don't have it. Intelligence, you have it. Personality is in your body. It's in your DNA. So technique is something that I work a lot with. So if I have a session of an hour and a half, you know how much technique I work with.
Yeah. I know. It's
And
so
I spend some time on tactics, because when I'm working on technique, I'm not leaving the physical side out. So you're getting fit with the ball. When you do that aerobic conditioning, when you play games, high intensity games, you're getting fit. I don't believe in running like a
I know,
marathon
coach,
runner.
I know.
I don't think you ever ran laps.
I have never done that. Even in my academy, I'm always emphasizing, coach. Maybe I need to be honest. You've never run us. In fact, we were so confident and fit. You make us fit with the ball. Play with the speed. And sometimes I've learned so much things. Especially, I took that and put it in my academy, actually.
Excellent.
Yeah, coach. This is, as I've said, it's so educational. Not to me. I'm still learning even now. You know, sometimes I even come and play against your academy with my academy, and I come and watch. Sometimes I will never stop learning from you, coach. Now I want to ask this. Which talent that that doesn't come out from your head you've ever coached, and where did that talent ends?
You mean players I never ever coached?
No, player that you've coached that you remember. one of the best talent you've ever coached, you. And where did that player ends?
You see, there are so many, but yet so similar. If you look at it, like if I have to make a list of talented players, it would be hard to single out one, because if you look at the time that I had at Kaizer Chiefs, there were so many talents like Jabu, yourself, Scarpi, the list is endless. And later on, the next generation of May Matlangu, Tukelo Ranti, currently Patrick Masangwani, Kabelo Dlamini. These are all players I enjoy watching, notwithstanding that the likes of Tefu, good players, but I'm talking now about players who show that ability to really stand out. You know, Tefu stood out; he won everything that year. But I'm talking about offensive players now. You know, I'm talking about your number 8s, your number 10s, your 11s, your 7s. So all of them were special. All of them were special. It would be unfair to say one was better than the other. I mean, people will tell you,
I respect.
You know, Jabo was phenomenal. But then I say, yeah, he was phenomenal, but so too was Kapi, so too was Junior, so too was, I mean, currently now I hear a lot of talk about Patrick Masangwani. Is the best 10 that Pirates produced. It's still early days. It's only one season gone. You have to give him a chance to. I mean, there's players that played for Pirates for 10 years or 5 years. Whatever time, they scored 29 goals and we made them legends in their own. Give this boy a chance. Give him a chance. Who knows? He may surprise us. Not taking anything away from those players. But remember, football has evolved. The game is much quicker. The pressing is different. You don't have much time on the ball. I think during the time we played, it was much easier. You had more time on the ball to do things. Today, the way tactics are, the opposition is in your face. If you look at Man City, all 11 players or 10 players are in your half pressing. So your technique has to be phenomenal. You know,
where you gonna pass?
Even your centre backs they play like midfielders, because if you are just the old-fashioned defender, you lose the ball very easily.
It's no, I'm learning even here. It's like I can listen to you the whole day, coach. And coach, do you think our standard of football currently, the way we are playing, are you happy? How standard of football in South Africa? I'm talking about South African football. Are you happy with our standard?
Look, for the last few seasons, I've been very impressed with Mamelodi Sundowns because of the way the team plays. It's very, very much a game model that suits us as South Africans. Remember, we may be Africans, but we are South Africans. We cannot play like Nigerians or like Libya or like Moroccans. We can't. There's very much, especially the Arab countries, is more European. But I think as South Africans, we are very close to South American type of football. So when I talk about Sundowns, I like the way they play out of the back, how they manage the game, how they use the ball, how they create opportunities. Even when they're losing, they never panic. So they stood up. For me, another team that impressed me over the last season, when you talk about standard, I think we have to measure the standard according to our PSL level, was Stellenbosch. From very little, they managed to play a type of football which was both pleasing on the eye and results driven. Okay. And then you got to start thinking a lot harder now. Who's the other teams, you know? Because then the other teams are basically sometimes looking like they're playing for survival. You know, they want to stay in the league. And
playing for protect the status.
Protect the status, you know. And you can see it, like, even the players they have, there's some very good players, but they have to play within a structure. So they cannot express themselves because then they are going against the game model that the coach has decided upon. So I think in that extent there has been an improvement, and I do think we did well in AFCON. But we also forget why we did well. We had a very special player in goal. Very special.
People will never see that.
You see, people will say, but Farouk, why you because the player made a difference. If you look at the penalty saves he made, if you look at those saves against Morocco, you know, you don't have to be. So I'm taking nothing away from Bafana as a whole. But let's say now, they didn't have a run in goals. Good results, of course. Because today, in the modern game, the most important player is not your striker, it's your goalkeeper. Because you can score 6 goals there. If your keeper is bad, you lose the game 7-6. So we, as South Africans, must be honest and say there's lots of work that needs to be done. You know, you can't have one team that are producing 6 or 7 or 8 players for the national team. It begs to ask the question, what are the other teams doing? I mean, our former team always had 4 or 5 in the national team. Now,
I'm talking about Chiefs, yes.
yeah, we always Chiefs. We had players. When you pick the national team, you already know there's 4 starting lineup.
Yes.
If you look at when we won the AFCON, we had how many players? Shoes, doctor. I mean, the list is quite endless of the quality we had during that time. That were main players, not just fringe players. So if you look at it from that, I would be very happy if all our teams can start playing to the level that they are able to do so, to their full potential. Because if you look at La Liga, yes, there's teams that play Barcelona, and Barcelona beat them 2-1, 3-1, small teams. But you can see there's competition. You can see the standard is high. You can see the individual players, how they perform. Sometimes you see even professional players can't head the ball, can't trap the ball. The first touch is bad. The decision making is bad. And you know, it's important to take stock from that and say, is our football at the level it should be? I don't think so. I think to some extent we've moved a little bit behind. Some teams have, like Pirates, like Sundowns. Also Pirates for me, outstanding how they've performed.
Especially last season, yes.
Yeah, I mean, what they've done is phenomenal. Besides winning cups, they play a good brand of football.
Yes, yes.
So we have to admit that there's something good happening there. But for the rest, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah, true. I think it's a blessing in disguise. When we lost at AFCON, even myself, when I watch, because that was going to fool us as South African if we won the AFCON, because we will be thinking that we more close to the best in the world.
Absolutely.
But when you look at technically our players, there's a lot that we needed to learn. It's true, Coach, what you're saying. Ronan stood up there. That's why he's nominated as a Palato as well.
Yes.
I think it comes there. And you are right. When you look at the games, he saved us.
Yeah, the one game he saved 4
Cape Verde. The game Cape Verde dominated us. Technically was superior. The way they're playing, speed. We couldn't even pound to pound, but goalkeeper stood up.
But you're talking about Cape Verde, the population is less than 1 million. Something is happening. And if you look at Cape Verde, the influence of South American football is huge. Is huge.
I think there's Brazilians there.
Yeah, a lot of them.
I remember.
So this is an influence that I'm saying. If you look at countries like Japan, for example, I remember years ago when I studied in Brazil in '92, I found 60 youngsters living in Brazil from Japan. I found this guy Zico was coaching in Japan, the national team and the youth structures. So what the Japanese did was, they looked at themselves and said, if you look at our physicality, our physical makeup, we are not 7 foot tall. So we have to choose a playing style, a game model that suits us. And this Brazilian thing looks good, so they brought the Brazilians. I can tell you now, Junior, if we play against Japan, we'll find ourselves in big, big trouble. Japan now, a team that was known for karate.
I saw them playing now, technically.
You understand? Even the ladies team won the World Cup. You understand? So never make a mistake to think that development is a luxury. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. If you go there to Japan and you look at those teams, Campus 8, you had coaches from Europe there also eventually. Wenger was there. He coached for years. And they invested in the development because they realized the more we invest in the development, the better the quality is going to rise to the top. And we have to admit now, without, I always say, burn your excuses. That was my famous words. Don't look at reasons to fail. Look at solutions to succeed.
Yeah.
We got to find that and say, stop talking about 94. Because like you said, Junior, after winning 94, we relaxed. And then I think Jomo finished second the year after that. I think we did 2 or 3 AFCONs. And then we went down because we did not make sure that development took place. That generation that won 94, they were developed, even though they were not in academies. They were developed because schools football was top. Shoes and them played schools football. Doctor and them played schools football. They used to play a lot of football in those days. We didn't have the distractions today, TV, social media. Today you find kids, they are sitting with an iPad 24/7. You understand? We need those kids to play.
Yeah, Coach, just to ask this, first I want to ask, why is development coach so important? I need to be honest. I'm talking about the development because this I want people to learn because I believe, Coach, you call development by saying it. Sometimes you go to this academy, there's 3 balls there. I know there's no resources. Not everybody's lucky to get this. Why is development coach? I'm talking about the national because you spoke about the talent that we in Brazil, are more or less the same. Why is development coach so important?
Well, let me start on the top and reflect and look at examples. There's never been a country in the world that has won a World Cup that didn't have a strong development. Now you can go back, Germany, Argentina, you name it. They've had very strong development programs from grassroots level. Because this is where you start planting this tree. This is where you start nurturing this tree. Because you are not just going to leave the tree. You're going to water it. You're going to put manure. You're going to cut the tree so that it grows straight. You're going to put a stick to make sure it grows. This is the same with the player. You got to make sure that when you plant that seed, that tree is able to grow, you know, and that tree must produce strong branches. It must stand against the wind. When the wind comes, it mustn't take it out of its roots. And what does it need? It needs proper fertilization. What is fertilization in football? It's the training we give, the work we do. You know, not just playing football, but also working with the player's mind. You know, football starts in the brain, then it goes down to the feet, not the other way around.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So if you develop a player who's a robot, he's not going to make it at the highest level because skill will always overcome force.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at Lionel Messi, he's very short and compact. But I mean, I saw him do things. There's a German player he put on his back once when they played Germany, and it was really funny to see a big guy, twice his size, falling down. And the thing is, he conquered him with his speed and skill, even though that man was twice as strong as he is. So development is necessary to ensure that you have a strong national team, because development is a process. It's not an event. It's not something you do in 1 month. You got to do it in years, you know. And also, you made a very good point about everybody's got development now. You go anywhere, they call it a name, so-and-so academy.
I know, I
you
saw
know?
that.
And when you go there, you see no remnants of academies. You know, you see people telling the boy, away. The ball is at the back, away. You know, that old term of kicking it forward. And you ask yourself, what do these guys think development is? So I always say, when I talk to coaches and I have a workshop, I say there's the fundamentals, the principles you can't change, whether it be principles technically or tactically. For example, conduction with the ball, being able to run with the ball freely, using the different parts of your feet, and whilst running, learning to keep your head up.
We used to do that.
You understand? You can't be running with the ball and then you're looking at the ball. So that's a skill that you have to develop. Controlling the ball. You know, exactly the way you should. For example, Junior KHANYE is marking Farouk from the left side. He has to control the ball to the right so that he protects the ball. Those fundamentals, controlling it with your thigh, with your foot. We do it over. You guys used to juggle maybe in warm-ups 10, 15 minutes for balance, for coordination.
Yeah.
Getting the touch of the ball, conduction, control, passing. Not just passing with your feet, passing with your head, passing with your chest, passing with your thigh. Important in the model. Dribbling, scoring, shooting, heading, and shielding. Those 8 fundamentals, it's in the Bible of development. You have to master it. Because once you master those 8 technical skills, football becomes easy because now you have all the tools. It's like when you have a guy coming to fix your motor car and he only comes with a screwdriver, Junior. Now, how's he going to fix that car?
It's not going to.
Similarly, if you can only pass the ball but you can't control it, how can you play football? Or you can't head, how can you play? Or you can't shield the ball. So you have to have that toolkit. I call it a toolkit with all those 8 technical skills. It must be mastered. Then tactics come into play. You start with 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4. You know, how do you defend? How do you attack? You understand? Then later on you come with the aspects of press. Today everybody's saying, hey, pressing, press with 3 up front. You don't know where to press. It's not as easy as that. There's pressing areas. There's what we call pressing traps. How do you set up an opponent to draw him into a trap, to win the ball, and then to counter-attack? You see? So these are things that these coaches that are calling themselves academy coaches have to learn, because we need them to do a lot of good work at grassroots so that when those kids come through, they come to your academy, they come to Stars, they come to Chiefs, they already have the basics. Now you find a player at 15, 16, he can't trap the ball properly. Physically, he can't even do 10 push-ups. Squats he can't do. Now, how can you play football if you're not physically and mentally fit? So it means your journey becomes impossible. That is why so few become the Tembazwanis, you understand, of this world, the Mukwenas of this world. Because you can see something that was done by the previous clubs at Supersport, etc., is now showing promise, and it's helped them to become the players they are. It's whatever was done there, the guys did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I respect. Coach, I respect. In my language, you say respect. I respect. And you are right. You used to taught us 1v1. And that's why I've got a problem with players that can't deal with doing 1v1.
Absolutely.
You used to tell us that you did it with time.
Yes.
Yeah, 20 seconds we needed to score goals.
Yes.
And you used to do a lot of finishing. Yes. In all angles, we could shoot in. I'm not trying to promote you, coach. That happened. You can talk to any player if they can be honest players that you've coached. We could play anywhere. We need to be honest. I remember we played Brazil there.
Yes,
came
yes.
there. Development. I was not playing, but that was my intro.
Ronaldinho.
I think you beat them in Milo Park. Or they beat you 3-2.
3-2, yes. They beat us.
But the game was balanced.
Yeah, but they had very good players. But our guys, I know Jabu came off, he was wet. He said, Coach, you told us about these people. Today, I've never run like that. Because they keep the ball. They make you work for it. It's not easy. They don't give it to you for free.
Yeah, I came there. I was not playing, but I came to watch. I remember I was not playing, but I saw. So those are important, and I think development, people have learned. If they can listen and try and apply that, they can go far. Me, I've never went to class in terms of coaching, but I've learned coaching how you taught me and how I was playing with the players that I played against and experienced players that I played with, Shoes, Chabomoki, but I've learned a lot from you and Ted, Coach Ted. I think it's more or less the same. You stood up one of the best. I need you and Coach Ted, I need to be honest. And Coach, I want to ask you this. How difficult can you coach the player that is not talented? How difficult it is anyway?
Look, Junior, talent, in my opinion, you are born with it. I know there's some people that say you can make a player. No, it's not. If you don't have the talent, you're probably going to be a good player. You know, you find those, and I don't want to mention names. They're hard workers. They run, they fight, they do the basics well. But in the modern game, you need everyone, including your keeper, to be a talented player, to be able to use his feet effectively. I mean, you look at Edison. You rush him, you'll see yourself going the opposite direction. He'll trap the ball, go the other way. So he was a defender firstly. And then they converted. I think the football is going that way now, where a lot of good defenders and midfielders are going to become keepers. It's a prerequisite. But coming back to your question, personally, you are born to become a great player. I know there's schools of thought that say, Farouk, no, nobody can make a player. Only God can. We are just adding. Junior KHANYE had the talent. I couldn't make Junior talented. I only directed him and the rest of them, gave them certain skills, but they were born with it. When you were in the Kasi playing in those tournaments, you were doing those things. I just directed it. And that is the job of youth coaches, to make the player realize his potential and to guide him and to show him the right direction. Not to claim that I made the player. No, you assisted the player. You know, nobody makes
deep,
players.
Deep, yeah, profound. Yeah, Coach, it's deep. Yeah, Coach, I want to ask you this. When did you start the Stars of Africa?
You know, I was at a club called Santos. I left with Mushin. And then Mushin spent maybe about a month, and him and the chairman, they had a big fight. And then I was already there with my wife and kids. And then I said, Coach, now he said, no, you must stick around. And then I took the job as the head coach. And it was a team that was fighting relegation, Santos. They had a team of very good old players. John Mbizo, Idris Burton, Kamal Said, Sebastian Bachs, Jean-Marc Itier. Very good professionals, but they were in their 30s. Now I had to think quickly, how do I fix this thing now? Because now Mushin is not there, I'm alone. And I did exactly what I did with you guys, Junior. I then worked on physical, technical work, which they were not used to because the previous coaches played a lot more direct. I said, no, guys. You don't have the engine. You don't have the speed. You don't have the endurance. We have to slow it down, play more. And people were surprised because Santos played the best football. We won the EPSA Cup, which is now I think it's now the Nedbank Cup. We beat Ajax in the final. Before that, we beat Bloem Celtic. And Bloem Celtic was firing. They beat Sundowns the match before that. And I realized, you have to think outside the box. So I came up with a tactic with Darren Arendse and Jean-Marc Itia up front, Jomo Solomons. So I played them on a counter-attack and I beat them that particular game. Went to the final, won it. So for me, that was really a huge opportunity to showcase my coaching acumen.
So you started Stars of Africa after that?
I started Stars of Africa whilst I was there the following season.
Okay.
And a friend of mine, Nadim, came to me. He said, "Coach, you always told us about development. I want to start." I said, "Okay, you guys go ahead, start. I can't leave my job now. I'm still here. You guys go. I'll give you guys support. I'll give you all the technical acumen. I'll give you," and I did that while I was in Cape Town. Then I came back because remember, Kaizer came to fetch me to work with Ted.
Oh, yes, I remember.
He came to fetch me because he said, "Hey, the Madala is getting old now. Hey, I need you next to him." So I went there, we won the league, etc.
I was there when we won the league.
Yes.
We won twice, actually.
Yeah, twice. And then the academy was running, as per usual. And then after I left, when Middendorf and them came, I said, "No, I have to move now. Time is for me to go." And then I left and Sundowns came. Then I assisted Gordon. And then these guys came from Sweden. They came to sign a player called Siyabonga Nkosi from Bloem Celtic. This guy, Bo Nielsen, came. And then he came to visit me at home with my partner. Nadim was the agent. And then I was talking to him, and the guy was very cold, said, "Not saying much." I said, "Hey, what's wrong with this guy?" Anyhow, I went to watch under 23s. Steve Compella was coaching in Rustenburg. I got a phone call, Junior. On the other side was this man. He was excited now. "Farouk, we must talk." I said, "Hey, is this the same guy? This morning he didn't give me 2 words. He went to watch the youngsters play against Wits, the likes of Ranti, Matlangu, Mambush, all of them were playing. And he said, I've never seen youngsters play like that. We must sit down and talk." So we sat down. He forgot to sign Siyabonga. He then said, "We'll sponsor the academy." And that was Helsingborg. He was a technical director. That's how the academy started. And that's where the first group of players, I had them in the Mayfair in a house. And that's how we started Stars. Very humble. We won the engine in our first. I can't say I won the engine because those youngsters weren't coached yet by me. I only came after the engine. They won the engine. And then I started working. But remember now, I left a highly paid job. This is the sacrifices people don't realize. We were paid handsomely for a win bonus from where I was before to now. Yes, it was much, much more. You would get up to 10 to 15 a win. Those I'm talking about now, 2004-05, it's a lot of money.
Yes, true.
And we used to win 4 games sometimes, so we were well paid.
It's a lot of money.
So I was made to make a choice. And the sponsor, Helsingborg, said, "We can't give you guys a sponsor unless you come on board full time." So now I'm going from earning a good salary to earning 0.
Sacrifices.
And I did it for 5 years until Tokelo got signed. When Tokelo got signed, he went from Malmo, from Pirates to Malmo to Bournemouth in England. We had to hire a lawyer because our ranking as far as FIFA wasn't enough for him to sign. Because in England, if your national team is not ranked within a certain, you can't sign players there. So we were fortunate. The director of Arsenal was a friend of Nadim's. He brought him there, Dean. And he got us a lawyer, and that's how we managed to get Tokelo to play, because I got a letter from Gordon saying he's going to be in the national team. And then we took the case to the FA, and they said, okay, he can sign. So this is the stories people are not aware of, what we had to go through for us to start Stars of Africa. So it's not been easy. I mean, the academy is in existence for 20 years. I've been there for about 15, 16 years coaching. Before that, there was the coaches that I was mentoring, But in saying that, the good thing is many good players have come through. Similarly to what we did at Kaizer Chiefs, many good players have come through, and it's the methodology and the philosophy that we encourage. We have a great belief in them respecting Ubuntu. I am who I am because of you. We make them understand that. I'm not Farouk without Junior. I can only be who I am because you make me who I am, and vice versa. So, you know, I think these are the qualities that makes the players that we develop special. We don't teach them how to be good footballers. We teach them to become good human beings before they become, because a good human being will become a great player.
Yeah, this is so special, and coach, I really want to know this. I'm talking about still with Stars of Africa. Which challenges did you have you faced as Stars of you when you started Stars of Africa?
Finance has been a challenge. From 1 month to the next, Junior, we didn't know where we were going to get food for the lighties. For you know, the good thing was I owned the property, so I didn't pay rent. You know, where the boys lived. I converted a house I had where the boys lived.
I remember, sorry.
Yeah, and food. My partner Nadim, who's a guy he's a businessman. He's based in Brazil, in Dubai. He moves around. He's in Portugal a lot. And he's opened up doors for us in Portugal to place players there. He's got first-hand contact with clubs like Benfica, Porto, you name all the clubs. I mean, he's friends with the presidents. So that has made a huge difference. That is why players like Luther Singh, like Juninho Palace, who's now at Stellenbosch, all of these players like Patrick Masangwani could go to Portugal. So he used to sponsor us every month. He used to give money towards food and upkeep. I couldn't earn a salary. My wife worked. She supported the family during that time. And later on, I got a job at Supersport in 2009, which helped a lot. I think I must really thank them for assisting us. Indirectly, they assisted Stars of Africa to become what it is. I mean, that employment at Supersport, working with the likes of Marawa and company, helped me a lot, you know, to be able to keep the fires burning at home. And also to profile the academy. You know, I went to Zambia, I went to countries, they know about Stars, they know about Farouk and that, because, you know, Supersport is shown on the continent. So that made Stars of Africa a brand that is not only South African, but is on the continent. You know, and in some cases, a brand that's very respected in Sweden because of the players, not because of Farouk. Because May went there and won all the awards. Every award there was, he won. Because Tefu went there. Because Ranti went there. These guys really put Stars on the map, you know, because of the performance. I mean, when Ranti was signed by Bournemouth, it was almost a holiday in Malmo. The only other player that created the same hype was Abramovich. So now we're talking about great legends, and this boy made the impact. People don't know Ranti's input at Malmo was huge. So this is how Stars grew, and it's still growing, and still we don't have a sponsor. The only sponsor we have is the big man up there. He sponsors us.
That's why there's connection between me and you.
You understand?
It's God.
Yeah, everything I think.
Yeah.
I meet people and they promise, hey, coach, you are God sent. I listen with one ear, but I say, if God wills it, you know. It's like the story in Arabic, we call it yaqeen. Yaqeen is basically a word means trust in God. Tie your camel, but trust in God. It's like the story you read in the Bible of Moses. Imagine a mother puts a child in a basket on the river Nile with crocodiles, and he ends up in the king's palace.
Sure.
That is belief, that is trust, that is faith. So I build my principles on that. When a player comes, like you say, no favors. You can be my son. You can be my brother's son. No, my friend. You have to perform. Otherwise, you are out.
I know you. Players at Chiefs came today, sent packing the following day.
100%.
I know, but no favor.
No
Even
favors.
us who could see when performing to give him a chance. And then if that player didn't perform, I need to be. Coach, I want to know, Stars of Africa, are they playing league? Which league are they playing?
We play in the Castle League, the Gauteng region Castle. We've been playing there for all the years. We had a Vodacom status when May and them were there. It was called Alex United. We bought it from the guys in Alex. Sheikh Skungwani was involved with that team. We bought it. We did well. The challenge we had was that the refereeing always was a problem for me, because referees always wanted something on the side, which I don't believe. I can't work from Monday to Friday, then I must give you something to win. No. So we did very well. The team that we had that did extremely well was made up of a team that included May Matlangu, Tukelo Ranti, Sibusiso Kumalo, Tefu Mashamaite, Emetes Ralani. I mean, that's a team we had, you know. And then we played against a team that was coached by, from Tembisa, Legs of Thunder, Jeris Kosana. And whenever he used to meet us, hey Farouk, today you're going to give me problem, because they wanted to get promoted, you know.
Oh,
we were not in promotion, interested, because for us, we can't have a team where we have to pay salaries, and that becomes very difficult. We are only interested in giving these youngsters a chance to play a competitive level. And the Vodacom was good up to that point. Now we've gone a level down with Castle, because it's also quite physical. And most of my players are 16. I started at 15.
15, 14.
Yeah, I push them in there, they play. I mean, there's a player now who I believe is going to be something out of this world. They call him KG. He's with me since 8 years old. I must send you the videos of unbelievable talent. And soon we're going to send him to Brazil just for experience, because they don't sign players really. We wanted to send him to Portugal, but they're having a problem with visas. So we're going to send him closer to the end of it. This boy, I can tell you, Junior, when you see him, you'll enjoy this boy play. He hasn't yet played when you guys come there, because, you know, I keep him aside, you know, sometimes not to expose them too much to the rigors of the game, because sometimes playing 2-3 games, being skillful, you know what happens. You get a lot of knocks.
Yes, they will kick him.
You know, so we protect him, especially in the league. There's no holding back. You're playing against men, but they mature quicker, even at 15 and 16. I mean, currently in our Castle League, we have about 7 starters that are 16 and 17 years old. So it's good for
SAB.
them. SAB, yeah. You have to, because if they are not good enough by 18, they won't make it. You know, well, you were promoted very young.
17 I was there.
You were promoted because you showed something special. That this is it. We can't promote people at 19 and 20 and say, I mean, I look at some of the reserve players in the leagues, and I see they are 22, 23. I'm asking, when is this boy going to play professionally?
And when you ask those things, they think you are fighting.
No, we're just stating the facts.
Yeah.
But this is the difference, Junior. You are outspoken. You are honest. People may not like what you say. They may dislike you, but they will respect you. Because when they sit down, they think. I mean, I looked at your analysis the other day and it was spot on. I like the way you're analyzing, and I think you've grown. You know, you don't just say, this guy is crossing the ball and that guy made a mistake, and, you know, we counter press. You're explaining properly. That is important.
Thanks, Coach. I've learned from you and other people as well. Coach, I want to know, when you develop at Stars of Africa, are you developing players to play in Betway Premiership, or are you developing players to go to who can play anywhere?
We have had players that we've identified to play in Europe. We have to be realistic. Not every player is the same. We have a player, Sibandi, was at Stellenbosch. He's now at Galaxy. Good player, I think, for the future. Left-footed. Yeah. We've had Janino Palace. We sent abroad. He's playing here locally. There's many that we've had locally with local clubs, but we've also had players going abroad. So it depends on the player. You know, if I have a player who has the potential to play in Sweden, we have the contacts, we have the people. It's a phone call, and we only send a player who we know is not going to disappoint, because there's a lot of investment. You know, when you look at, you know, people think when we send players to Portugal, the club is waiting there and giving them accommodation. No. You have to pay for that until the club decides to sign the player. So when you send Patrick, when you send Juninho, you have to put them up in a flat. You have to feed them. You have to get a physical trainer. And that in itself costs a lot of money. You know, money that we can spend here, we invest because we want to make that boy's dream a reality. So sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. In the case of Patrick, it was difficult for them to break through, because you must understand, Portugal have players from everywhere, because that is the, how can I say, the launching pad. Most of the players playing in the Premier come via Portuguese league. Benfica is the most, the team that has produced the most players for Europe. You look at Edison, you look at Bernardo, you look at all these players at Man City, they come from Benfica. So Benfica has a principle of taking talent from everywhere, Croatia, Brazil, developing and selling it on. So it's a business. As much as they're doing qualifying for Champions League, they're selling their players, their best players everywhere. If you Google Benfica, they've sold the biggest amount of players. And this is what football has to do, Junior. If we want to improve the standard, we must make our Premiership a business entity. Like we've seen Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch is selling players every year.
I was telling Kulego in studio, true. And they're doing it very well. They don't make favors. They've got somebody who identify talent and they're on the right track, true.
Because not every club is going to attract sponsors like Chiefs and Pirates, and Sundowns owner is a multi-billionaire. Not every. So the smaller clubs have to turn their teams into a business where they develop players who can play in the first team and be sold on, where they sign players from other clubs and they make sure those players showcase their talent and they sell them on for a profit. That money can be reinvested, because one thing you must remember, without finance, no professional team can be successful. Money drives the animal. The process is driven by money, because it's expensive today. If you look at generally, I mean, I've never thought we could be paying up to 50 million for a player. It's happening in the PSL. Sundowns is signing players for 50 million. It's a lot of money, from overseas. So my thing is, why don't we develop them here at a cheaper cost? Because then we'll be saving so much more.
Yeah, Coach, if I may ask, where to from you, Coach? I know me. Personally, I know where do I want you to go, actually. I would love to see you going back to Chiefs, help them in the senior side, assisting this coach that they brought. For me, I grew up loving Chiefs, I need to be honest. But I want to, you, open up. And I would love to, if not Chiefs, national team, they were supposed to rob you, for me. Not bring somebody outside. I don't believe in that, especially you. They don't know. Maybe some other people, they don't know. But I want to hear from you. Where to coach you still want to be involved coaching any team in Betway Premiership, or you focus in your academy?
Look, Junior, I think the academy has been developed to an extent where it can do without me. I have very capable coaches. They understand my philosophy. They understand the work. I can leave them and go for 6 months and come back and find the work being done. So there's no problem with me having to do other projects. But I'm selective of what projects I do. I would love to help Chiefs, because it's in my system, Kosi for life. Once it bites, we can have our differences, but we love the club, and I think people out there must understand.
True.
It's not something that they must, you're a Kosi. No, it's just how we were. It's a part of our makeup.
Ish.
But, you can't invite yourself to these things. If people know your value, they have to invite you. And also people must understand that as a professional, I won't compromise my principles. If I'm working to assist a club like Chiefs, I will never do things behind their back, take players, move them. No, those are amateur Mickey Mouse people do those things. We passed that stage. And one thing that we have is our reputation. We can never afford our reputation to go down.
Yeah.
You are now a public figure. You can't do the wrong things because people will know. As for the national team, I think they are depriving the nation of expertise like we have. And we're not saying it from being proud. But what we have learned over the years, and from the people we've learned, and from what we've put into the game, what we've put into the game to produce the results. If we were coming with something without a CV, I can understand. The CV is there for the country to know. People give us the accolades, but our national team is not using us. I'm saying, in whichever capacity they want to use us, whether it be under 17, under 20, under 23, national team, we have that knowledge. We can add value. We're not saying give us the head coach's job. We're saying whatever you think you can use us, because we're not getting younger, we're getting older.
Yeah.
And we can't die with this knowledge. We have to share it. And this is where I think we're struggling, is because every time you see an appointment being made, you ask yourself, but why is these guys making these appointments? And without trying to criticize other people, some of those appointments don't turn out to produce anything. And you can't blame those people. Many of those guys have never coached youth. They've never spent extensive time developing players. They've never been involved in coaching professionally. So we have those things on our CV, which now gives us the confidence and the ability to be involved in our national setup. So I'm waiting. If there's people out there that need to sit down and scratch my brain and come up with solutions for our football, I'm prepared to share whatever I have. I'm not saying I know everything, because in this game, nobody knows everything. But the mere fact that we have extensive interaction with football nations like Brazil. I mean, in Brazil, Julio Leal once said live on Extra Time that there is nobody else that can teach our footballers in this country the Brazilian way, the way myself can, because of my experience and my interaction with him, with the likes of Zagallo, with the likes of Carlos Alberto Pereira. These were the people that I interacted with. And not even to go far, people like Ted Dimitro, etc. These are valuable. And Mushina Tugra, I think he's another person that is being underutilized. For me, I think he's the type of coach that can have a huge impact on our national team. He's currently involved with the Turkish football. And we're still communicating. People like him, people like Fani Madida, also very knowledgeable people, not being utilized. And I just think sometimes these people have to be called to a round table and say, hey, guys, how can we put our heads together so that we can stop fighting to qualify? The big thing now is qualify. Today we're playing. We should comfortably beat these teams. The other day when we played, we should have comfortably beaten Uganda. We should have. But it took a lot out of us. I mean, at the end, in injury time, a mistake from a defender. Instead of clearing the ball, he tried to trap it, and we were very lucky. Mofokeng lashed onto it, they created something there, and we scored the equalizer. But is that enough? No, I don't think so. I think we can do better.
Yeah. That was... I enjoy this, man. Coach, I need to ask you this, and I'm going to be asking indirect. I wanted to ask this, but on another angle, but I'm going to ask based on, since you touched today,
yes,
we're playing against, I think it's a World Cup qualifier. We're playing on Friday, today we're playing against. Coach, I want you to pick the best 11 for you, even if you can use today how we must play. I'm talking about Bafana, it's okay for me.
Yeah.
If you can pick the team that, how we must play actually today. Yeah.
Look, a little bit disappointed that Ronwen is injured. I think he could have been very, very important to us, but okay. I think we go with the keeper that the coach wants to use today. I don't know who's that going to be. But I think over a period of time, Kekana, for me, as a centre-back with Mvala, for different reasons, they complement each other. One is good in the air, very physical, very strong. The other one is more a player who defends with a lot of organization and technical know-how, very intelligent player. And then Mudau and Mudiwa, for me, they are the modern-day fullbacks. Those that like to go, quality crosses, can play out of the back. Mukwena in the middle has proven that he's our number 6. I think if he plays as a lone pivot, which will then allow the likes of Zwane and Masangwane to be more offensive. I would like to play, if you ask me, 2-8s. Because when you have 2-8s with their skill and their ability to go forward, with the likes of Mofokeng and Foster, I mean, they will receive a lot of service from those players. I think for me, that would be a very, very positive way of playing. And the reason is very simple, that it's a very offensive setup. You're playing with a false 9 in Mukwena. You're playing with the out-and-out 9 in Foster. So they complement each other. I think in football it's about how players can complement each other, how the fullback can complement the wide attacker, and how the central defenders can combine each other, including, there was something that I learned from Pereira years ago. He said the team is most successful is a team with the balance in the midfield. He used an example of Argentina, who had Galeco, Mario Kempes, and Osvaldo Ardiles, the 3 players. The 2 of them went eventually to play for Spurs. But he said, if you look at Galeco, hardly ever went further than halfway line. So he was a 6 who controlled the midfield, give them the steal. Mukwena is that type of player. Win every loose ball, great anticipation, knows where the ball is going, cuts out certain passes, okay? Then you had Ardiles, who was very good in, like Zwane, in creating the goals. Similarly to Masangwane, he's good in both. He can combine and he can score goals. He's good in both principles of attack. Then obviously your fullbacks, you got 2 very good fullbacks in that case. So I'm picking that team based on the fact that we need to be offensive. We need to be daring. We need to be outright offensive. And if we lose the ball, we need to press them there. We don't need to play with a low block, with too many defensive players, and negate the idea of what's strong, what's beneficial to us. As a player, what helps South African football over the years is our ability to attack opposition. They don't like it. Because, you have the 6-footer and then you have a skillful player like Mukwena who can turn him inside out. They're not comfortable. They are comfortable when you play 1 and 2 touch. They are comfortable when you play long balls. They can deal with that. But they don't like the idea when you run at them. So this lineup I have, if you notice, is players who have the skill to run at you. If you look at the triangle, Mukwena, Masangwani, Zwane, as a defender, you know, you have your work cut out.
Yeah.
Because they can penetrate that block at any time.
Yeah, Coach, thank you for sharing the knowledge. And today I've learned, man. I was on another class, university actually, university, and it's indirect. I'm sure even in the studio, people learn a lot. This is going to be so educational for South African. Coach, I'm pleading to these people to use your knowledge. Even if you can get the setup, if they can put you under 20 national team or under 23, even Bafana, I don't care. Chiefs specific. I love the team. I will never stop loving the team. I need to be honest. If they can use you, I'm talking about you, head of development. Also, you help the first team. Talent scouting. I know what you can do, the impact that you can bring there. I'm talking about the style of team play, players that they can bring. The team can be turned, and how I know that you are, in terms of the knowledge, putting the structure for them. I know that you are a person who like the structure, and I've learned those things from you. And younger players, you can give that freedom and networking around the country. So, as coach, I'm so.
Just on that point, Junior, I proposed to I had a meeting once with the president of SAF, and I proposed that I adopt a project for under 12s nationally. Even if people are doing whatever, 17, let them continue. I go around the country and I scout the best under 12s. I put them in a proper setup for accelerated development, like your Fun Valley or whatever project. Have 60 of those kids there from 12. And over the next 6 or 7 years, I mentor them. So when they get to 18, they must now start showing where the potential is. And they must now be ready to play in Europe. So out of the 60, if I produce maybe 10 or 12 or 15 that can play in Europe, that go and play in those bigger leagues, and they come back, our national team will be flourishing. And it will mean no quick fixes. From 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 7-year program. Not 2 months, not 2 years, 7 years. Proper training, proper nutrition, proper life skills, proper psychologists. Everybody comes on board. We make use of all the experts and we produce that special player. That is where I think we should go, because you can't invent a short-term success with football. It's a long-term process. So this idea I got is not Farouk's idea. It's internationally practiced. France did it with Clairefontaine. What did they do? They produced that national team that went on to win the World Cup from what? Taking the best youth, accelerated development over 9 years, 7 years, and they produced the Benzemas. All of these players came from there. And it worked. So it's still my appeal, if there's people out there who have the financial muscle and the influence, let us select the best. We go on a country search. Every part of South, we look for that special 11, 12-year-old. In between, they'll drop out. Some new ones will come in. You know how football is.
Yes, true.
It doesn't mean if you started at 12, you're going to be there. Maybe you drop out. Maybe there's a 13-year-old, 14-year-old that shows more. Put him in. But the process, the vehicle is there. We need that vehicle.
Coach, thank you. Much appreciated. And they spend, you made my day. And Coach, I wish you all the best. And we'll always keep in touch. I'm willing to learn going forward. And Coach, I'm so humble. I'm so touched. Thank you for coming to my studio. And it's an honor for me. I appreciate Coach from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Coach. Yeah.
No, thank you. It's been an honor for me to see you grow from the time I saw you as a young 14-year-old, 15-year-old coming to Chiefs. I'm very, very proud of you, to say the least. I always brag about, did you see Junior, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm not bragging to buy your face. I'm bragging because many could have done what you did and not been successful. You have been successful, not only in your football, in your family life. I'm so happy for you.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it. No. Wonderful to have the master of football, Coach Farouk Khan. Thank you a lot. And don't forget, hashtag World Sports Betting, hashtag Bet with the Best. And Amanje, reality TV, every Thursday, 163, 6:30, prime time. Again, you got it. Amanje. sengisho ikhathi zakudala boleka icox ngihamba ngitrayela nami ngalitholi ithuba lokudlala.